Greetings, YouTube. This is the Truth Bearer 1 speaking. Today I want to talk about something a little different. Well, it's not really totally different from what I usually talk about, but it's still about gender relations. Not specific only to the black community, but gender relations in general. Now, this is about an article I read some weeks back. I'm gonna read the article here, but I'm gonna put a link in the description so you could find it and read it for yourself whenever. So anyway, I'm going to read this article, and then afterwards I'm going to give my own little commentary. Okay, the title of the article is "The Opposite of a Tiger Mother: Leaving Your Children Behind." Rana Reko Rizzuto says that she never wanted to be a mother. Quote, "I had this idea that motherhood was this really all-encompassing thing," end quote, she explained on the Today Show, where she was talking about her new memoir, Hiroshima in the Morning. Quote, "I was afraid of being swallowed up by that," end quote. 10 years ago, when her sons were 5 and 3, Rizzuto received a fellowship to spend 6 months in Japan researching a book about the survivors of Hiroshima. 4 months in, when her children came to visit, she had an epiphany. She didn't want to be a full-time mother anymore. When she returned to New York, she ended her 20-year marriage and chose not to be her kids' custodial parent. Now, Rizzuto is an author and a faculty member at Goddard College in Vermont, where she teaches in creative writing. Her boys are teenagers, and, she says, they're fine. In fact, their relationship not only survived her leaving, but, quote, has improved, end quote. "I had to leave my children to find them," she writes in an essay at Salon.com. In my part-time motherhood, I get concentrated blocks of time when I can be that 1950s mother we idolized who was waiting in an apron with fresh cookies when we got off the school bus and wasn't too busy for anything we needed until we went to bed. I go to every parent-teacher conference. I am there for performances and baseball games. But when that 1950s mother she describes as ideal had to cope with parenthood 24/7, she didn't get to pick and choose which parts to be present for. The idea that a mother could love her children and still choose to leave them to pursue her own goals is the antithesis of being a tiger mother. Amy Chua ignited a fiery debate with the release of her book about being a perfection-demanding Eastern-style parent, omnipresent in her daughters' lives. It also goes against our culture's definition of motherhood, but it shines a light on a glaring double standard. When a man chooses not to be a full-time parent, it's acceptable, or at least accepted. But when a woman decides to do so, it's abandonment. Bullshit. Sorry for that interruption. Okay, now to the rest of the article. The decision isn't an easy one to make, no matter how you feel about parenting. It took me about a year to decide once the idea came to me, says Talia Lera. In 2008, she chose to move 3,000 miles away from her 3 of her 4 children. Her oldest is an adult and out on her own. At the time, I was heavily involved. Attachment parenting Waldorf mom. I did the whole family bed, breastfeeding into toddlerhood, baby wearing thing. I was at home with them for 10 years before their father and I split up, and stayed at home after that, trying to create a writing career to support myself. After a lengthy custody battle and 2 years of joint custody, she realized that her ex-husband, a pilot with an erratic schedule, wasn't going to change. And her situation wasn't going to change unless she decided to change things for herself. I realized that by being so nurturing, I was in some ways keeping my children from growing to their potential, she says. We talked about it for months and we prepared together, not really knowing what being 3,000 miles apart might look like or feel like. When the time came to get in her packed car and drive away, she says, she felt very mixed. Yes, there is a sense of relief. I would be remiss if I did not admit that, she says candidly. But there was also pain. I used to avoid Target, for instance, because it made me think of shopping for my daughter, Serena. Little moments like that and everything comes flooding in. Now a spiritual advisor who writes at Polaris Rising, Liera wrote about her experiences as a non-custodial parent at Literary Mama and Parenting Without a Manual. Her children are 15, 11, and 7 now, and after more than 2 years of long-distance parenting, Liera says she misses them but feels very connected to them. Now we stay in touch by phone, IM, Skype a few times a week, she says. I hear about their lives and give support. I have been a mother since I was 20, she points out. I did not have the life a normal 20-year-old would have. While I don't regret that, I knew that I now have the opportunity to reconnect with who I might have been then, but with all the tools and skill sets I have learned through motherhood. I have the unique opportunity most women don't get to have, of being able to truly create the life I wish to have, do something in the world that makes a difference, and model this kind of independence for my children. After Amy Chua's story went viral, many women said they felt they needed to adopt a bit of the tiger mom mentality, that maybe they were a little too lenient with their kids. In any case, it's evident that there's no one size fits all when it comes to motherhood. But does striking out on your own or being a Hiroshima mom take free-range parenting to an extreme? This is the question people will ask me. The question that curls now in the dark of the night, Rizzuto writes in Hiroshima in the Morning. How do any of us decide to leave the people we love? And that's the end of the article. Like I said before, I'm going to put the link in the in the description box so you can look it up for yourself and read it. So, bottom line is this. The woman in this article had kids. Then they figured out the whole motherhood thing wasn't for them, and that they wanted to do their own thing. So, just kind of like bounce on their kids. Yeah, they suddenly realized that children didn't have an off button for them to press. Well, then they was like, hey, you know what? This isn't for me. I'm just leave y'all behind so I can pursue my own selfish goals. As if I never even had children. And hey, you know what? They actually have a term for men who do the same thing to their families. What's that term again? What's it called? Oh, I remember what they're called. They're called deadbeat dads. They're called absentee fathers. They're called sperm donors. You know, something I realized that only a woman can get away with publicly admitting to abandoning her kids like that, and there'll be no problem about it. If a man did the same thing, he would be ridiculed insulted, despised, hated, and you know what? I'll be the first one to do it too. I mean, shit, I would be the first to call out a sorry ass father who abandons his kids. But if a woman does the same thing, it's supposed to be some type of liberating thing. And the writer of this article is on some bullshit too, man. You could dip in the article, the writer of the article is a woman. You could tell with this line. I'm gonna read it again. But it shines a light on a glaring double standard. When a man chooses not to be a full-time parent, it's acceptable, or at least accepted. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. If that was the case, then the term deadbeat dad wouldn't even exist. The term sperm donor wouldn't exist. The term absentee father wouldn't exist. These are all terms that are popular in society. They're popular because they show society's disdain for men who do not take care of their children. Society has a whole bunch of derogatory terms for bad fathers. On the other hand, there are hardly any derogatory terms for bad mothers. So what the hell is she talking about? And I don't like how they try to put some positive spin on this in this article. Like they try to make the situation look better than what it really is. Oh, in this line, I had to leave my children to find them. Man, only a woman can say some dumb shit like that. Only a woman can get away with saying that. If a man said that shit, everybody will look at him like he's full of shit. And I would too. But because a woman's saying it, it's supposed to pass. Oh, and another line where they try to sugarcoat what she did. The line, her boys are teenagers, and she says they're fine. In fact, their relationship not only survived her leaving, but has improved. Get the fuck out of here. Trying to make her abandonment look like a good thing. Get her out of here. And to me, I just get the impression from this whole article that it's saying that because men are more likely than women to leave their children, so that when a woman leaves her children, it should be seen as this liberal, empowering thing to do. Like trying to make it out to be this sort of new age type of parenting shit. Come on, get out of here. If it's a horrible and cowardly thing for a man to leave his children, then it's a horrible and cowardly thing for a woman to do the same thing. Stop trying to sugarcoat the shit with all this liberal jargon. With this westernized feminist shit. And like I said, the writer of the article is a woman, so that's probably why she's trying to sugarcoat the shit. I mean, can you imagine a man going on the Today Show admitting to running away from his fatherly responsibilities because he was afraid, because he didn't want to be a father all day, every day? And making it out to be this, like it was no big deal and shit. And then have people responding positively towards him? It's bullshit. Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, and this dumb excuse that you had to leave your family to find yourself, like, or I have to leave my kids to find myself, to find my identity. Man, yourself, your identity is at home with your kids, where your ass should be. You cannot find yourself by leaving your children behind, because that is a great part of who you are. You cannot find your identity while ignoring your greatest responsibility. And that goes to men too. Once you have children, your primary responsibility is to them. Well, at least until they reach adulthood themselves. All this other crap about leaving your family to find yourself is just some made-up, liberal, self-centered bullshit. Once you become a parent, that is your most important identity. And that's my take on it. This has been another public service announcement by the Truth Bearer One. Peace out.